welcome. So my name is Mike Hall. I'm from Hancock Lumber in Maine also. If you were here for the previous segment, Kevin and I work close together. I'm on the retail division or contractor sales division of our company, and I'm going to explain a metric, on time and in full, that is a quality assurance measure for delivery, living up to your promises. So I'm an in-house developer. I've used FileMaker for 28, 29 years, always being dissatisfied with the various vertical solutions that you get in any industry that you're in. They're adequate at best. So I have a long history with FileMaker, 33 years in the LBM business, which is lumber and building materials. And I play and write songs in an originals band, which makes you unemployable, by the way. So today's mission is I want to talk about stakeholder engagement, which in our world are customers and coworkers. We're very big into everybody leads is our motto. So bottom-up leadership is a real deal. This presentation is much about culture in our company as it is FileMaker, but FileMaker becomes the total enabler. We call transfer of ownership, which is in any important process to actually declare and promote the owner of that process and define the endpoints that person owns the event for. LIRT is in my frequent communication and postings in our company is my hashtag living in real time, and then ECC is efficiency creates capacity. So many times when people are crying for more help and more trucks and more everything, you'll find the answer is already in your system. It's just that you're not really utilizing it that much. OTIF is a measure of quality assurance. So you have to pick things that matter, and then you have to really make sure you audit them, make sure they're real. And then we do all of this using an ERP system, and we write very narrow SQL views to keep it fast. So you can mount SQL tables really easy, but it's not efficient. But if you just get yourself a SQL tool and write SQL views, they mount rather quickly in FileMaker. So we've been around since 1848. Was everybody here before for Kevin's? No, not everybody. So we've been around a long time, 1848. Kevin Hancock is our current CEO, and he is the 6th generation of a family-owned business, which is pretty cool. Kevin made the point that we were selling lumber before the first cannonball was fired in the Civil War, which is awesome, and very supportive company. I'm in the retail division. Kevin's in the manufacturing. So we build roof trusses, wall panels, distribute building materials, and produce pine lumber. So there are 550 of us and 5 people in what we call IT, 2 of which do FileMaker development on a fairly frequent basis, right? Yep. So we wear many hats every day. But the best part of our company is that it's the culture of everybody leads, and it's not bull. It's just how we run our business. So, for instance, our organizational charts in our divisions, if you're going to look at a branch, are circles, and it's a pie chart, and it just shows how many people do each function. Because Kevin Hancock, our CEO, believes that in a circle, no one has more power than anybody else. And it's very true. So when you have a meeting with anybody, you just go with a blank sheet of paper and you listen to their ideas, and then don't maybe try to correct them. You can guide them later through best practices that but you really need to make it match their actual reality of doing work every day. So for 5 years in a row, we've been voted best places to work in Maine, which is an 85% employee-driven survey. So for 4 years prior to that, we didn't win best places to work in Maine, but it's a 75 question survey broken out by functional area, including IT, if you want to use that word. So what you do for those 4 years is you float the collective worst problems to the top of the thing, and you go to work on them and you fix them. Many times they just don't even understand what you're doing. So our benefits scored low in the first year, but we benchmark our benefits. So we went on an ad campaign to explain how good our benefits were. Many times, though, they're telling the truth, like working conditions and noise and, my computer doesn't work all that good. We increased the speed of our MPLS network by 4 times. They said the computers are slow. It's truthfully the network that was slow. So that's our culture right out of the gate, which is really important to the rest of what I do. In 2017, we were voted Pro Sales Deal of the Year in all of the United States against 5,000 of our peers, which is really cool. We almost all use this same vertical that's kind of in the country, controlled by about 2 primary vendors, Epicor being one. We use a tool called BizTrack. When we were evaluated for this award, the people are just sitting there in marvel of the data that we're doing and the dynamics and CRM and all of it. And they're like, but you use BizTrack like everybody else. Yeah, we do, but we use FileMaker Pro, which no one, of course, knows what it is. But it's such a differentiator. Our largest competitor in our own market has the same ERP we do. And the customers come to us on a regular basis and say, but you guys do it better. You know, you make it work. They don't realize that it's not even fair. So today's metric is that I want to talk about is OTIF, on time and in full, and it's an industry standard invented by pretty much a guru in our business. Her name is Ruth Kellick. She promotes this all over the country. She happens to also be on our board of directors. We're very fortunate. So it stands for on time and in full, and it is your on time percentage that you have to measure accurately against your in full percentage. You multiply 2 percentages together to get hampered by your worst percentage, right? It's a harsh metric. So when we were going to implement this in 2010, we went and visited other lumber yards that she mentioned, and we saw multi-locations where they weren't using the same set of weight. Even within a company, they weren't measuring their OTIF the same way. They were largely using shared spreadsheets, which in our company of 500 people, whenever we hear people sharing spreadsheets, we know we got a FileMaker solution, because spreadsheets don't share all that well. So we went back anyways, 2010, we tried it in shared spreadsheets with weak definitions like the examples that we saw. It was miserable. So we dove into FileMaker, our next natural weapon, and it was pretty fun. I think it was pretty fun. So we had a bunch of competing agendas that we needed to do. So the logistics managers, or at the time they were just called shippers, which really wasn't fair. It's an extremely important position. We're now about to go to them and tell them that we wanted to add more work to their plate. Several things. We wanted to communicate better to our customers in real time. We wanted to collect OTIF data, and then we expected them to get more efficient. So we sat in, back to the blank piece of paper, we listened and listened to what they were saying. So journey value is the measure of how full a truck is, just in dollars. And contractors will always tell you they just want the load right now. They don't care how efficient it is. But we knew journey value was super important. So, and so did they. They were telling us they wanted to slow the game down and improve journey value. So we came up with a tool that we could collect OTIF data. We could help them super organize journey value, in real time. This is right off the SQL database. It's arranged in a way that they help invent. They quickly, at a glance, they've got icons, visual cues on the side to know whether it's been ASN'd or advanced shipping notice, whether it's been shipped or invoiced. The order in red means that it has a known back order without them even opening that. They know there's going to be trouble on that delivery. So it was really all designed with their feedback. And then the final real give me to them is it organizes it by journey or by truck leaving the yard, and it sums at the top corner. So this day was $88,000 in this branch, and that was going to give them a journey value of $7,400, which is actually a good day for that branch. So in the reinvention of shippers to logistics managers, not everybody actually even made it. We had to, some people just weren't up for this mission, because what I'm going to show you next is inside an actual delivery on one of these journeys. So there was a little hamburger patty that pops this up. So we offered them the way to grade it on the left-hand side. So they've got 6 or 7 reasons for on-time failures, 6 or 7 for in-full failures. So that's easy. So 2 clicks for them to grade an invoice after the event. The middle data with the promise time and awaiting invoicing is all directly from the SQL. Another hint for them, you'd have to be in it, but it improves their day. They can click on order lines. They can see the customers and data all from here without leaving the app. The most important thing, though, that we're really asking them to do is on the right-hand side where it says ASN and positive time change and negative. So those are scripted events that helps them commit. So it's an easy way in this world of paper that they were using and clipboards to say, they wouldn't really commit. They just put it on a clipboard and rearrange it 8 times during the day. So what we're asking, within 30 minutes of getting this event, that they actually make a time commitment to the customer. It really helped them organize their day. And the way we did that is through this, and I call it a narrow email. Narrow in the sense that it fits on a smartphone. So you got to rewind to 2012, and even in 2012, certainly we were getting email like from Amazon and stuff like that, but not in our world. Even in our world, we still don't. So my little line in the middle is just to split it in 2 for reading, but it's super narrow to fit on a smartphone. The most important thing this does right out of the gate is this has to be sent within 30 minutes of the delivery winding up in their grid. And they're declaring ownership of the event right then. So, and this is very formal, but sales no longer owns this event. Operations owns it. So that's back to the to true ownership of it. And unlike Amazon, this was another super important thing. At the end of this email, aside from saying thank you for choosing Hancock, I am Ryan Story. I am the logistics manager in the Brunswick store. Here's my cell, and of course you've got my email. So in the old days before this, and it sounds simple, so a contractor would call his or her salesperson. The salesperson would call the inside sales support at the company, and then that person would call Ryan. Very unlean if you're into lean. So what we realize is either way, Ryan is going to get bugged about this event if it needs changes or anything. So we just cut all of that slop right out of it, and now it's a B2B relationship. The customer is speaking identically to the person that's going to get the work done. So that was just a huge change. And then with those buttons, we also got a very consistent script, right? So some people would send emails. They were crude at best. This is very formal. And it's a single click. It just launches. We actually use the Outlook client on their desktop. We could send it through the server, but back to ownership. We want this to go forward. So then we deliver to the customer the exact day we're going to ship it, the time zone, where it's shipping from, who typed the order in, the name of the truck driver, and the truck driver's cell phone number, which is obviously dialable because it's a smartphone, and the type of truck. And then in great detail, we tell them every single line item, including what's not going to ship that day, what's going to be back ordered. So that back to stakeholders, that's real important to the contractor. We've had them get these emails in advance and call up in a panic. Either we got the job name wrong, or they don't use that brand of nails, or it should have been pressure treated. But now all that can happen way out ahead of the event, so it's not a failure, it's a success. And then to reinforce this, so I gotta let me wrap around the long side of the horn here, but another part of FileMaker that we do is we have a separate server with 100 television screens across 17 locations that do digital messaging, because we had an old rotten system that was super expensive. So Kevin just wrote one of his own. He's like, I can do that. So this TV system, HLTV, does static slides. So a store manager can announce a meeting. There's always one of these screens by a time clock. There's many that are customer facing. There's some that run end cap pricing. There's in the sales pit, in the logistics office. So managers can put content on it. But one of my favorite parts is we figured out a way to put dynamic content. So in the logistics office, we can promote and share their journey value, which I'm going to get to why journey value is so important. So that can be broadcast right there. They'll see today and tomorrow in real time. And then in the sales office, they see today and tomorrow's journey value. So that puts the system under a little tension. Sometimes sales will push on them and say, hey, you should say yes because your value is light. And sometimes logistics would say, hey, I'm full. Can't you see my journey value? So that's called celebrating, right? In real time, we're celebrating a metric that is extremely important. In fact, people are rewarded on this metric. It's a quarterly paid event on improvement of journey value. So another way we celebrate collecting all this is with the customers. So we actually take the OTIF data that we collected. In a single click, a salesperson can write a joint business planning from FileMaker, one click, writes an annual summary of the customer's business, their building permit value, their sales by category, delivery ticket value, credits, and any messaging that we want to get through to the year. So on page 2, though, we convey their actual OTIF to them. I mean, we go right to the source, which was brave. I mean, we debated 6 or 7 months whether we were going to include OTIF data, but they're a stakeholder in it, and they actually really like it. And in some cases, when it's terrible, they can poke at you, right, to get better. So that's fine. We tell them what time zones they ask for. Just for space, I cut it off, but what truck types they were asking for, which all become talking points so we can do future planning. Trucks are expensive. They take a year to get. You just don't get one on a whim. And then, like I said, all good systems need a way to report, a grounded way to rationalize all this. So it's one of my favorite. I use a lot of anchor buoy style in FileMaker. So people are landing on a control record. So this actually runs automatically, but you only can control the branch at the top, or all branches, and the date are the only 2 controls on this. And then it fills in month, quarter, and year for this year and last year. And to take it even further, I don't even do that. It's just fully scripted. It just comes to me on the first day of the month at 3 in the morning. I rationalize it all, make sure it's not embarrassing before I distribute it to the company. But most of this they can just pull up in real time. At the bottom, we do a little trending for whatever branches you've selected in the current month you're in. It just shows you whatever was the worst for the month and where that was. So 3A was the worst for December of 2018 company-wide, but it was substantially better than November. So just at a glance. And then the second page of each of those reports, I do a rolling 13 period graph, so it shows on time, in full, and then OTIF rolled together. And it's important so I use another anchor table of 13 months, and that's how I get to that. So you can see the 12-18 and 12-17, and then you can just see how it flowed throughout the year. So that the report that goes out shows all branches and then each individual. We're big fans of showing everybody else's work. Mostly they can see that too in real time. So this is a real pride point. If you bear with me, from 2012 to 2018. So we have the same number of delivery trucks that we had in 2012. We have the same number of drivers that we have in 2012. We have eliminated, we went from a 50-hour work week to a 43-hour work week by reducing overtime. And then we made up all their pay with incentives like journey value and credits. So in that same amount of time, we improved our OTIF from 92, which we thought was pretty good. It's pretty sucky actually, but we were proud of ourselves. And we took it from 92 to 95, which really is world class. And it's really honest. Like that's really sound. It's not shared spreadsheets. It's not measured different ways in different branches. It's a real number. So I don't disclose. We share this with our customers, with our builders. So the delivered sales looks a little masked, but basically we started at $60 million of just sales that went out on delivery trucks in 2012. And you can see the compound growth. The economy was getting better, so 20%, 7, 11, 19. So all that together is a doubling of our delivered sales from 12 to 18. Same number of drivers, less overtime, no more trucks, And we had 16,700 journeys back then, and we still haven't made it to 16,700. So when I say efficiency creates capacity, like that's crazy. I mean, we doubled our stuff on exactly the same amount of things. So it's slightly not FileMaker, but I can't tell you enough how you couldn't do this without it. I mean, we deliver instant real-time feedback. So people, you know, if you want to change their behavior, they have to know where they stand and where they've been going, and they want to know really quickly. So that's a great slide. So that's back to my efficiency creates capacity. Next time somebody wants more of something, just ask them if they've really doubled down. And then to quantify that, the most amazing thing maybe is in 2012, when we started this, we estimated a journey, which the truck leaving the yard is a journey, to be a $300 event before you put a mile on the truck. So we run a lot of trucks like that, like 10 of them. And that's a boom truck. They cost $300,000. They take 1 year to get. It's a specialized driver that drives them. So we didn't have to buy any more of those. So a $300 event before you put a mile on the truck, you got forklifts to load it. So if we conducted business in 18 like we did in 2012 and doubled our sales, we would have had to double our journeys. So that would have, you know, at $300 a journey, that would have actually cost $4 million more, which is a lot of money. Now, probably no one would have gone that nuts, but maybe we would have. You know, in the old days, we just threw bodies and stuff at everything. So we think it's a big win. So, kind of perfect, I think, on time. I wasn't sure I could get through all that with that. So what do you think? You know, it's like... Any questions? Yeah, yeah.
On that 7-year metric,
Yeah.
the final number is actually less than the starting number.
Uh-huh.
On the graph, it goes up. Are you guys aware of that?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's something, I don't know, something the way Keynote floated the thing. I agree, right? But it is less. Yeah, you know, yeah, yeah. So,
Drivers and loads of trucks too or not?
so at the site, you mean? Yeah. So sometimes you get help. Those big crane trucks, you know, you become the keeper of the job site with those things. You know, you're rearranging. It's a weird sport that we do. So you have to build the load, not to efficiently load the truck, but you have to build it in the way they're going to build the house. So sometimes the really long stuff's got to be on top. Right, it's like you can't put the pressure treated sills, even though it might make sense underneath. So you have to load the truck inefficiently, put it near the foundation. We spend a lot of time on site.
Now, if your journey has more than one cycle, the truck's got to be loaded.
Yep.
From
Yep.
a particular way.
And sometimes you're getting fined for unloading on the driver's side of a truck. I mean, there's a lot of variables that. But again, when you go to the drivers, you know, and ask them how they'd solve this, especially if you say, we'll reward you on journey value, they come up with a million solutions. Yeah.
You talked about the journey value and rewards. What kind of incentives would it get? You mentioned quarterly.
Yeah, so we each person would have more than one. So journey value would be on a driver. Journey value would be up there. Credits, not OTIF, no, because we want that to be a truly natural metric. We don't want no one should be rewarded on quality assurance, right? It should roll up to that. So when we kind of lowered the overtime, it turns out none of us want to work 65 hours a week, really. But they do it because that's where the money is. So when in these surveys that we do with employees, this comes up a lot about grinding, you know, they have families and baseball games like we all do. So we took those metrics, we added up the overtime, and we make sure that the quarterly ones exceeded where they would have been with their overtime pay. Plus, we actually put a little bonus. We raise their base pay actually at the same time, so they can earn more. And everybody's happier with that way. It's amazing. Yeah. And we were so that was the most miraculous part. We didn't really know how bad we actually were. It just like right out of the gate, it was people were thinking of stuff and doing it and talking to contractors out loud, which was a taboo thing. Well, you can't tell the contractor you want to fill your truck, and it's like, well, the same contractor will say, I'm not sending a guy over there. You know how much that costs? And we'd say, well, we're not sending over there with 2 boards. You know how much that costs? I mean, these trucks get 7-8 miles to the gallon. So the first, right out of the gate, was just amazing. It got a little harder after that, but we were running around 1 or 2 boards in panic mode, which is not a good idea. Partially too, communicating to them right up front within 30 minutes that what we're about to do. So what they tell us in the past is, well, I told you I needed it really fast because I know you will get there really late. So when we started just upfront handshaking on the deal and then living up with the commitment to what we were about to do, with the email, then they would believe that we were going to do what we said. Yeah, so in our ERP already, so we don't try to reinvent things that work. So the ERP might not be glamorous, but it does do a bunch of that. So we can snap a photo while we're there and it gets married up, and the customers can see that on a web product. Yeah, they can actually see the truck. The customers can see the truck on an app in real time, but they just don't bother. They pick up the phone. Where's my stuff? It's funny when you really get an app in their hands and like, that's too hard. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.